Here we go again, my brothers and sisters. You know what time it is, part 6 on a construction build. Hopefully, if this message is meant to get out, we're going to be able to get through this. If it's not, we're just going to have to save it for another time. So anyways, my brothers and sisters, live blaze time. Let's go! Fire blast!
Knowledge, polished, cottage, wattage, introducing the wicked sky body, natural Nathan, representing sons of light. Introducing the wicked sky body, natural Nathan, representing sons of light. God, believe in God, believe in God, believe in God.
Yeah. Introducing lowercase God body, natural Nathan, representing sons of light. Intricate lyricism, just kicking, kicking. Promise, paying homage to Mother, Father, honor. As above, so below, as below, so above. Show love to the flow, which is gold. So what you waiting for? Take your face off the floor, walk through the door, soar like you're born, children of the Most High. So get fly. Yo, banging on the beat, breaking the concrete, defeating demons on a daily basis, glowing radiance, raising the consciousness to the most high status, Lumen lyrical brightness, supreme natural intelligence. There's no coincidence that I'm rocking, feeding the knowledge to the masses. Vets and youth always speak the fire of truth, wisdom. Life is about growth or development, so build your light for the tests in life. Never give up, never let up. That's what's up. You know what time it is. So push forward, elevate your mind in the sun and rise.
Check it, listen, coming through, fire bun. I'm an intellectual to the precise decimals, mathematical root radicals. So receive this, I mean this, the fire of truth. From the sheer might, the fire of truth. Preach, teach, the fire of truth.
Just levitate, levitate, keep your head straight. Just levitate, levitate. Even if the world is so cold, we just levitate, levitate. Shed these lies.
Alright, my brothers and sisters, welcome back to another Live Blaze broadcast, brought to you by your solar sovereign sun, the radiant one, supreme natural intelligence, intelligent genes, intelligenetics. Let us continue where we left off on the bridge of the construction build with Brother Martin Kenny. Let's go.
That if you're standing by yourself or if you're standing with just a couple of people, then you're probably doing some good work. You're standing with a whole crowd.
Yeah.
You're right. You're running with the pack. That means that you're most likely stuck in the matrix.
Truth blazing, facts blazing, facts being manufactured in a factory. Alright.
And then what would you do? Because obviously you wouldn't want the people to be too dumb. And I just said to just stop it. He says,
Or the CIA or...
Went too far.
Yeah.
Right? And that just carries on and carries on and carries on and carries on. So the deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more layers you peel back, the more people you're going to leave behind. Now, timing is everything. Timing is so important.
Mm-hmm.
If I had reached this stage 20 years ago, and I had known this knowledge 20 years ago,
Hold on a second.
you're now an outsider. You've now...
Step here means you have this much knowledge, and then you learn a little bit more, and then you step to the next step, and so on, until you get to the top step. Nobody knows where the top step is, but anyway, so I'm babbling on here. But I agree that if you're standing by yourself, or if you're standing with just a couple of people, then you're probably doing some good work. You're standing with a whole crowd.
Yeah.
You're right. You're running with the pack. That means that you're most likely stuck in the matrix.
Absolutely. And you, flat Earth. Funny enough, flat Earth is one of the biggest. It's a fantastic secret society, right? It's got the exact same pyramid system as the Freemasons.
Yeah.
So when you join the flat Earth community, 90% of the people are going to be Christians, right? Flat proves God. That's majority of flat earthers.
Yeah.
That's most. That's the crowd. That's the mainstream, right? And then when you step out of that box and you go, oh, I'm still a flat earther, but I'm not part of the Christian crowd anymore. You're now an outsider. You're now beyond that now. You're now in the next group.
Yeah,
right?
you've been ostracized. Yeah.
You're ostracized. You're now in the spiritual community. So you're branded, with another term.
A new ager.
A new ager, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And then you go beyond that, you get to the next one where you start getting this occult stuff, and it's like, oh, you've gone too far now. So those people that were now in the spiritual, new age, whatever, they now ostracize you as well. And say, oh, no, we agree with some of the stuff, but some of the stuff you're saying now, no, this is getting too dark for us. Too much.
Yeah.
Right? And that just carries on and carries on and carries on and carries on. So the deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more layers you peel back, the more people you're going to leave behind. Now, timing is everything. Timing is so important. If I had reached this stage 20 years ago, and I had known this knowledge 20 years ago, and I didn't have the internet to share it with people like yourself, the only people I'd be able to talk about with this are people in secret societies. I would have had to join a Freemason somewhere, Freemason organization, or Illuminati, just so I can have people to talk to. So even if my intentions were good, I'd just be like, I just want to be in company with people who understand this stuff. I'd have to join a Freemason temple and say, look, I don't want to do the dark stuff with you. I just want to talk to someone. I need someone to talk to. Because no one in the world knows this, and you guys obviously know this stuff, right? So luckily we've got the internet now. I don't have to join a secret society because I can find people who are like-minded anywhere in the world through the internet.
Facts.
And this is what secret societies are. And this is why a lot of people have joined the secret societies, because over the past they figured these things out and they had to speak to someone. They needed to speak to someone, or otherwise you'll go crazy. You'll go nuts.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been accused of being in a secret society. I have been accused of being a Freemason because of the work that I've gotten into. I'm an agent of something, I don't know. Maybe an agent of truth, okay? But not an agent of the NSA or the CIA or whatever. It's interesting how when you get to certain levels of information, people really, they build a wall, and they have to somehow label you. They have to put you in a box. They have to categorize you so that they can feel comfortable that they shouldn't listen to what you're saying, It's like, well, I don't want to listen to this. He's bursting my bubble. And
What? Slow motion this side.
Right? There's always this toxic with this symbol.
what you're saying, It's like, well, I don't want to listen to this. He's bursting my bubble. And so I'm going to fabricate a reason as to why I shouldn't listen to his stuff. And then the layers come rolling out. And that's what I found with my own work. I don't know about yourself, but
That's just what happens every time, brothers and sisters. When you start speaking the truth and scorching people's way of life by exposing their lies and deceptions, that they've been living lies and they've been faking, fronting, and being phony all their life, they get mad or they get scared and they run. Because they ain't ready for the truth. They talk a lot, they talk that game, but they ain't really ready for the truth. That's just the reality. Only the few will find the truth. Only the few will walk the narrow way or the middle path to life. Few find that path. Many find the broad way to destruction. That's the reality, brothers and sisters. This is the path. Nothing is more ancient than the truth. That's the reality. So let us continue. This is what it's all about here, brothers and sisters. Find people that vibrate at your frequency. This is what it's all about.
Have you been accused of being a Freemason or part of the Illuminati?
Yeah, loads of times. Oh, loads of times. Yeah. I've been called a Jew, believe it or not. He's a Jew agent. I just think to myself, wow. But one of my favorite ones is, sorry, I'm going to be picking on the Christians because they're the ones that are normally the most vocal. And it's not personal, I'm just giving an example. But I had a friend of mine who came to see me and we were having this debate, which we quite often have. He's quite into his religion. And I just said to him, just stop it. He says, this stuff you're teaching, it's satanic, it's all, from the devil, and, let's stick to the facts, let's stick to the Bible, And I said to him, all right, let's be logical about this. Let's just stop and think about this logically. Would you agree that evil entities have been running this realm for thousands of years? And he said, well, yeah, of course. It even says in the Bible, the devil runs the world. And I said, excellent. And I said, now, if you were the devil and you wanted to hide the truth, what's the first thing you would do? You'd mask it. You'd make it scary. You'd put all kinds of dark things around it so people are afraid of it.
Sheesh, teach, man.
What? Slow motion this side.
Man, this brother is a speak in my mind, man. That's crazy. I've been saying that for years. The reason why all that symbology, all that stuff they do, they want to scare you from the truth. They don't want you to get the truth because once you find the truth out, they're going to lose all the power they have over you. Because the only reason they have power over you, the so-called 1%, the so-called elite, is because the only difference between you and them is knowledge. You're destroyed. The masses are destroyed for lack of knowledge because they reject true knowledge. They get caught up in the misdirection, the distraction, and the deception, and they never find the truth because they think everything is Satan, devil, all this stuff. And some things, yes, it is, but at the same time, not necessarily. You got to look and you got to really know what you're looking at. You got to study. This guy's speaking my mind. It's crazy, man. Let's go, man. Let's see what else these guys have to say further.
Right? You'd put skulls and bones and, you'd use certain words and magic and dark and, bad words. Words that evoke fear in people. Mm-hmm. That is how you hide the truth, isn't it?
Teach.
And then what will you do? Because obviously you wouldn't want the people to be too dumb to the point where they can't function. But you don't want them to be too smart to the point where they're as smart as you and they challenge you. You want them just enough so you can control them. So you'd give them some truth, but you'd mask it. You'd hide the truth. You'd code it. Like the Bible. Right? We'll give you a little bit of truth, but we'll give it coded. You'll kind of get it. So you'll kind of be awake, but not too awake. Like the occult knowledge. We'll keep that real knowledge. We'll keep it.
Teach.
And we'll put all these buffers to scare you.
Facts.
Baphomet, that devil with the horns.
Sheesh! He's cooking the knowledge. He's cooking. Truth blazing. Facts blazing. Facts be manufactured in a factory, my brothers and sisters, man. Be seasoned and spiced in this fire of truth. He's speaking facts. Brothers and sisters, that's truth blazing, man. Let's continue.
Front of our work. The moment you Google occult, first thing you see is a Baphomet. And straight away you go, oh, devil, pick out, I'm not going in there. Buffer. So I said to him, and that's all it is. And that's all they've...
That's what I've been teaching the whole time. They use the art of distraction, misdirection, and deception to scare you away from the truth of what's really going on. Facts. Teach, Martin.
Done. Now, once you become smart enough, you figure out that these are just buffers. Don't be afraid of numbers. Number 33 is not an evil number.
No, right?
It's not evil. It's They're beautiful birds, right? You shouldn't fear owls. Yeah. All these things, you know, is not an evil number.
No, right?
It's not evil. It's just a number, crying out loud. You know, owls are not evil.
Right.
They're beautiful birds, right? You shouldn't fear owls. Yeah. All these things, you know, skulls and bones are not evil. A skull is not an evil thing. You have one on your head.
Ooh, sheesh.
They're not evil things. They're
Teach.
just things that have been put to mask the truth, to scare you away from discovering these occulted truths. And that's all it is. So you can remain ignorant, you know, unfortunately that's what it is. And you can remain in that world of illusion, or you can step into this new world of saying, do you know what, I'm going to look at this stuff without fear and try and understand it as best as I can. But like you said in the beginning, there's a time and place for everyone. It's not meant for everyone. Not everyone is meant to awaken to this stuff now. Not everyone's meant to get it now. You know, there are people that have to stay behind and be, you know, and be part of this new world order. There have to be. There are people that have to go to other places and colonize other places. There have to be other people that are going to ascend into other places. It's all part of one big, beautiful system of life. It's the circle of life, right? We say the circle of life, once again, a whole circle, the holy circle of life. That's all it is.
Right.
Know thyself. It's all about knowing who you are, where you are, and being happy. So now when I meet Christians and Muslims and religious people and people who are not vegans and people who vehemently oppose me, I don't have a need to try and preach to them anymore, or try and convert them anymore, or to try and make them understand where I'm coming from. Because I now fully understand that that is not my place. I am not here to, I'm not God. I'm not here to judge or to correct or fix anyone. In the same way, I'm not, sometimes someone will tell me something, if I reject it, it's because I'm not ready for it, right? And I don't want them to ram it down my throat, right? So you say something, if I reject it, leave me alone. I'm not ready for it yet. When I'm ready, I'll pick up to it and I'll move forward. And that's what it is. So those who are in that boat of Christian and Jesus is coming, good for you. Crack on. You do that. That's your road. That's your journey. I wish you all the best. The Muslims, same with you. The Vedics, you know, literal religious people, occultists, people that are in the dark arts, you know, the black magic, Satanism. Those people do that. You carry on doing that. That's your road. That's your journey. You do that. Those of us who are on this path, we will carry on doing what we're doing. And everything will just work itself out in the end.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. Everybody is on a different path. There is a different rate and pace with regard to where people are at, not just from their physical world experience, but from their soul perspective, from the non-physical. So, yeah, so we're not going, it goes back to what I said before, you're not going to get everybody on the same page, the same boat, rowing in the same direction. It's just not going to happen.
Truth.
No.
So,
Truth.
right, so everybody, mine is very different than yours. We sync up in many aspects, but there's things in your life that you're doing that I'm not doing in mine, and vice versa. It's just the way it is, you know. So, well, Martin, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Believe it or not, we've chit-chatting for 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's gone really fast. Is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything you wanted to wrap?
We're getting to the controversial part, my brothers and sisters, and then we're going to be really going in and breaking this down thoroughly. This one is going to be controversial. You're going to be seeing. So, let's go.
Up with?
Yeah, just a quick one. Energy. You know, we always say that everything is energy. Someone was asking me the other day about Baphomet and the whole the transgender agenda that is happening.
Here we
at the
go.
moment, the transhumanism thing. What is all that? You know, what does it mean? Where is it heading? Where is it coming from? The best way to put it is that there is a code for everything.
Uh-huh.
There is a code of conduct. Once
Uh-huh. Take notes, my brothers and sisters. This is critical. You really need to overstand. You need to equal stand, understand what's going on, my brothers and sisters. Because this is where it starts. Listen. This is why you don't know this information and what's going on. Because you have been destroyed. History has been destroyed and been hidden from you. You haven't been studying the ages. You haven't been studying the times and the seasons. That's why you have forgotten this knowledge. You have amnesia. And now you're going to be reminded why this is all happening. This has happened before. It's going to happen again in the future. There's always cycles, ups and downs in the cipher of life. Every time we go through the cipher of life, we go through ups and downs. Dark ages, light ages. We go up and down, up and down.
you get deep into occult knowledge, Freemasons will tell you that there is a code of conduct in every aspect of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
morals and principles, laws, regulations.
this realm that we live in has got a code.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a number to that code, believe it or not, and that number is 432. I'm sure you've heard of that, 432 hertz, Schumann resonance. That is the code of this resonance. And that code, within that code, there are certain things that we can do and we can't do within that bandwidth of code.
Mm-hmm. Teach.
Now, in other realms, they have their own codes. You know, we talk about the different realms. In Eden, for instance, that is a different etherical zone.
Mm-hmm.
They've got their own different code.
Exactly.
Right?
Teach.
And I think their code is 418, from what I've researched. Their code is 418. And that code has got its own code of conduct. So, in Eden, for instance, because everything is etherical, four-dimensional, everything is governed through energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're at a higher rate of consciousness, they see this reality for what it is. We don't see energy, we see matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We judge things by matter. We see a
Mhm.
sex. When we see someone, we say, oh, this is a black male, he's male, he's this. You describe him by his matter, right? You don't see the energy of that person. Now, in places like Eden, where they are consciously a little bit more ahead, they see the energy before they see the matter.
Mm-hmm. Teach.
So in Eden, like I said, they don't see matter first, they see energy first. So they
Mhm.
see things for what they really are, the true form. So
let me stop it here for one moment, my brothers and sisters. As I've taught many times, we're living in the world of division. We're living in the world of uniqueness, distinction, where everybody has their unique shape, their unique form, their size, scaling, dimension, and weight. Everybody has their unique look in this realm. But as we get closer to the oneness, that uniqueness begins to dissipate. And the only way you could see the difference between people is based on their energy, which is a source and root, or in other words, their character. Their vibration, frequency, and character is the only thing that you could really assess. The physicality, as you get closer to the core, the source of all things, the oneness, like the New Agers and spiritual people like to talk about, we are all one, we're all connected. Well, once we move on to the higher realms, to the spiritual realm, you're going to be seeing all oneness around you. Literally. You're not going to be seeing no races, nationalities, all that stuff you're not going to be seeing anymore. The only thing you're going to be able to assess a person by is by their energy, vibration, and frequency. That's it. There's not going to be any more genders, because as we get back to the source, everything becomes one. So this is giving you an idea of what's going on. Why all this reprobateness and perverseness that's going on in today's world. It's this expanding. It's because of that. The vibration and frequency of this dimension is getting closer to the oneness. So all the neutrality of things are beginning to really amplify and magnify. Listen to reason and listen to wisdom.
What? Slow motion this side.
Go. Have the Israelite mind.
It's a beast in this motherfucker. You can feel the energy.
All right, let's continue.
Things like gender, there is no gender in Eden, not in the way that we see it. Right? So gender is a construct, male and female. These are iron/bronze age constructs. Once we reach the silver age, golden age, those things start to peel away and fall away.
And to remind you, in this current realm dimension, you know there's current laws, there's rules, there's regulations. In this dimension, you know it's not going to work when you have in the same polarity. When two polarities are trying to connect like that, you know people are obsessed with lust and sex. So when two of the same polarity try to connect, it's not going to work. Because the laws that regulate this world doesn't allow that. But as we get to neutrality, as we get closer to the source, the roots and source of all things, the spiritual things, there is no gender. Therefore, anybody could connect with each other. It doesn't matter what. Because the neutrality of your being, you'll be able to act as a positive or a negative freely. You won't be stuck at an extreme anymore. Right now, we're stuck in division and extremes. You're either male or you're female, and supposedly some are coming out neutral, but a lot of it is that they're doing surgery. They're not really coming out like that, but right now they're doing surgery to get like that, and all that confusion. That's not a reality yet, but we're getting to that stage. I'll let you be seasoned and spiced in that fire of truth. That's just the reality. Remember, we're living in the infinite potential of all things, the infinite possibility of all things. We're living in one of those potentials. As we transition and transmute to higher vibrations and frequencies, getting close or getting back to the oneness or the source of all things, the root of all things, that's when everything becomes even more deep-rootedly connected with one another. There's less distinction between one another. Less separation. The closer we get to the source, there's less separation, less distinction. However, there is more connection. That's why you're seeing these weird corruption and distortion taking place in this world. The coding is beginning to be altered in this realm, as Martin is going to explain as well and explain further. So listen.
So, for instance, something as simple as sexual intercourse. In this realm, the code of conduct is for life to be created, for energy to be exchanged. That energy we call the energy of lovemaking. There has to be a process called a sexual act. And that sexual act has got a protocol, it's got a code, there's certain things you have to do for that to happen. Now when you are in a different realm,
so obviously you know the answer between our brothers and sisters. This is why two of the same gender cannot produce or manufacture or generate anything of substance, because it doesn't work here. We're not operating in the oneness. You could connect to a certain degree, like, what's this? Handshake, hug, that's the only way you could connect. You can't get the highest connection with your reproductive parts because it's not meant to work that way for the same polarity. We're operating in extremes in this realm, so it's not going to work here. You can't freely regulate your charge like that to make it work. That's why you don't produce nothing. It doesn't work like that in this world. That's why there's certain rules and regulations here where you have to have the opposite polarity to make it work. But once you get to that body, the spiritual body that allows you to freely change your polarity to make it work, it is what it is. It doesn't work here.
Eden, in a higher dimensional realm, sexual intercourse is not the same. It's not a physical thing anymore. It's now an exchange of energy. Again, because there is no sex. There is no male, definitive male or definitive female. Which is why I say God is not a male nor a female. You know,
Facts. Teach. This is an energy exchange. When you do this, energy exchange. Energy exchange. In other words, sex. Sacred energy exchange. When you put a USB in your computer, or you put a power plug in an outlet, that's sex. Sacred energy exchange. Even when you look at the symbols when you turn on your electronics, there's a long stick that represents the phallus. This represents the womb, representing off. This is off for electronic symbol. This is the on symbol. So when this goes in, that's on. That's on for electronics. See, the symbol is all around you. Symbols are all around you, brothers and sisters, telling you what's going on, what this life is about. Everything is sex, sacred energy exchange. You can't have two of these. It's just not going to work. You can't have two of these. Not going to work. Because you're operating with extremes. In this world, we're in division. So you can't have two of the same polarity coming together at the highest level like that. It doesn't work. It's corruption. It's virus. It's a virus here. In this current vibration and frequency. It doesn't work here. But as we become gender neutral, we go to higher dimension where there's no more genders. Everything is oneness. We're able to adjust our polarity accordingly to generate, produce, manufacture, if you want to go there. But in this world, there's the laws of nature. It doesn't work like that here. That's why you're seeing all this that's going on, because we're changing. We're getting closer to the oneness. That's why you're seeing all these people coming out, all this gender flipping going on, because of that change in frequency and vibration. The other realms are intermixing, and everything is becoming one again. As we move closer to the silver age, to the gold age, it's only going to get more. It's only going to become more connected. Everybody's going to become more connected. That is why That's why 5G, 5 generation came out. 5 generation is the spark and ignition to oneness, at an artificial way, in an artificial way. 5G is the first wireless technology that makes everybody one. Everything's hidden in plain sight, brothers and sisters. You're being told the truth non-stop, but you're not able to decode it because you don't have eyes to see. A lot of you are blind. You're stuck operating in your ignorant ways. You're not trying to understand what's going on in life itself. You're not understanding why there's laws and there's regulations and there's principles. You're not fully comprehending why you're saying, oh, everybody's one. Get over race, nationality, we're all one. Are you really understanding why we're saying that? Now, with this teaching today, now you're getting it.
We hear that a lot. God is androgynous, right? God is not a man or a woman. And that's where that comes from.
Because as you get closer to the oneness, there's only masculine principles and feminine principles. As for the being itself, you won't be able to tell what gender it is anymore. Because in the oneness, there's only neutrality. There's a perfect balance between positive and negative only. There's only perfect balance in the oneness. Perfect balance in the oneness. When you get distant or further away from the oneness, you become more separated, more divided in your egos. You form separate cultures, separate sects, separate dens, separate ways of life within the cipher of light. Life is a mirror, brothers and sisters. Life is a mirror. It's all about knowledge of yourselves. When you think about it, our one body is composed of many cells. But however, we are one body at the same time. We are one body, but this body is composed of trillions of cells on top of many more trillions of other civilizations and other life forms that live inside and on us. Just like the Earth, we are a direct micro projection of the Earth and a direct micro projection of the universe. Vice versa. Just as we are the micro version projection of the universe is the macro projection of us at a larger scale.
So in Eden, for instance, this is something else that me and Josh came and figured out, and this is also hidden in a lot of the occult knowledge, esoteric occult knowledge. The Baphomet represents that archetype of these beings in Eden. That's what it represents. It's a goat. Why is it a goat?
Now you're getting the true knowledge and what it really means. The secret society scared you away from the symbols because they don't want you to know what's going on. Because that's what keeps them empowered over you, is the knowledge they know. They encode and hide things through signs and symbols, pictures and images. And they purposely use dark or evil looking things to hide a lot of the truth from you, to keep you ignorant. Because they know it's going to scare you, they know it's going to make you run away.
Because everything begins with Aries. Aries is the first sign. When I showed you on my cosmic clock, right? The epoch began in the age of Aries. So they are the goat people. The goat is the one that climbs the mountain. It's the first one. That's why that Baphomet is a goat. The Baphomet is also a male and a female. It's showing you that androgynous nature of male and female energy being one. Right? You also see the sun and the moon. You see the two hands, the hand pointing up, the hand pointing down. The hand pointing up points at the moon, the hand pointing down points at the sun. All that is also symbolic of the dual nature of what the archetypes of our sun and our moon represent, which is a whole different presentation. So
as above, so below, the law of correspondence is teaching you the principles of the universe. And they're hiding it through a scary looking image. That's why it's called a secret society. In order to keep this knowledge secret, they have to scare the masses away from it, so they don't receive the knowledge, so the gap cannot be bridged between the two. Because the reason why they're in power is because of the knowledge. The masses are in confusion because of the ignorance.
Going to happen.
No.
You know? So everybody has their own unique path, and mine is very different than yours. We sync up in many aspects, but there's things in your life that you're doing that I'm not doing in mine, and vice versa. It's just the way it is, you know. So, well, Martin, I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
it's now an exchange of energy. Again, because there is no sex, there is no definitive male or definitive female. Which is why I say God is not a male nor a female. You know, you hear that a lot. God is androgynous, right? God is not a man or a woman. And that's where that comes from.
God, or the Most High Power, has masculine principles and feminine principles. The Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God, would be considered the feminine principle of God, the Most High. The structure and order, the laws and principles of knowledge and intelligence would be considered the masculine side. The wisdom part of it would be considered the woman's side of the Most High. That's why the scriptures say the attributes of God, male attributes, feminine attributes. Ultimately, God is not a male or a female. It could be either or. In the beginning, when the Most High spoke to Moses, who are you? Masha said, who are you? What did the Most High say? I am that I am. I will be what I will be. Think about that. Ahaya! Asher! Ahaya! I will be what I will be. I am who I am. What does that mean? I am everything. I am you. I am that. I am this. I am that. I'm everything in nature. Did you pay attention to that piece? That part? You got to decode what's going on, brothers and sisters. Everything is a mirror. You are a partition, a fragment of the Most High Power, experiencing life in a limited play plan script. You're experiencing life as a human. What is the purpose of this life? To experience a certain perception, a perspective. Life is about growth and development. It's an experiment. It's a test. Let that sink in. You're here to grow and develop. That's the main purpose of life. Experience, growth, and development. You're here to come from the bottom and rise back to the top, to your godhood status, and to realize what life is. We are all one. In reality, the fire truth is we are all one. And that's what we're seeing coming out. This is the new world order. This is the world reboot, the world reset that's taking place. As we move on to the higher shift in consciousness, Lumen consciousness, everything becomes more and more connected. 5G is the jump start of this, because it makes everything one technologically.
So in Eden, for instance, this is something else that me and Josh came and figured out, and this is also hidden in a lot of the occult knowledge, esoteric occult knowledge. The Baphomet represents...
Brother L. Jeffy, what's poppin'? I see you. Yeah, baby, we back up. Fire of truth, exactly. Jeff? Truth blazing. Facts blazing. Facts being manufactured in a factory. The narrow path, the middle path, we walk the line. Explosion, exactly, brother. Anyways, let's get back on it.
That archetype of these beings in Eden. That's what it represents. It's a goat. Why is it a goat? Because everything begins with Aries. Aries is the first sign. When I showed you on my cosmic clock, right? The epoch began in the age of Aries. So they are the goat people. The goat is the one that climbs the mountain. It's the first one. That's why that Baphomet is a goat. The Baphomet is also a male and a female. It's showing you that androgynous nature of male and female energy being one. Right? You also see the sun and the moon. You see the two hands, the hand pointing up, the hand pointing down. The hand pointing up points at the moon. The hand pointing down points at the sun. All that is also symbolic of the dual nature of what the archetypes of our sun and our moon represent, which is a whole different presentation. So the Baphomet itself, once you understand the hidden meaning that is coded within it, is a beautiful symbol. There are many truths in that. But of course it's been masked with satanic things and associated Satanism to scare people.
Exactly.
So lovemaking, for instance, in Eden, is not a sexual, there is no intercourse the way we know it.
United we stand stronger. Together we rise higher. That's why there's such a push for unity, because we're getting close to that oneness. As we operate in the Dark Ages, that's when it's the lowest point of division. But now we're moving up. We're moving back to the unity status of consciousness. It's time to get the likes up, man. You're getting powerful information, brothers and sisters. You're getting to know why this reality works the way it works. What's happening in life. Support the video, share the video. United we stand stronger, together we rise higher. Let's break through the algorithms here, man. Break through that firewall that YouTube has up. Claim your power back. This is what it's all about. You know what's going on in this world, brothers and sisters. Which one are you going to choose? Which pillar are you going to choose? Truth or deception? Which pillar are you going to choose? Are you going to still stay in the matrix like Cipher? You see truth and then you get scared and you run back to the matrix. You don't care if it's a stage. You're going to act like Cipher, or you're going to be Neo, be Morpheus, and get to the fire of that truth, right? Truth blazing. Facts blazing. Facts being manufactured in the factory. Let's go.
It's just an exchange of energy. And we think, our theory is, lovemaking could be as simple as something like dancing. Now, when you're dancing with someone, you're creating choruses and vortices and energy. You know, you're spinning people around, you're rubbing yourself against someone. There's friction there. There's an exchange of energy. There's passion. There's emotion. You know, there are dancers that are passionate. There are dancers that are subtle, that are more, there's more fluid, there's more flow in them. So all of that is going back to this occult, the old culture of how things really work. So lovemaking in Eden could be as simple as dancing with someone. Now, if you and me were in Eden and we decided to dance together, that could be regarded as making love. In that code, you're creating a love frequency, not in the perverted way that we know it as in this realm. Now, that is all well and good, and that's fantastic. Unfortunately, what these occult Satanists are doing, they are bringing in the Eden code and trying to bring it into this realm's code.
Break it down, brother.
Because now it becomes something else. It now becomes perverted. Because that code of conduct cannot work over here. In the same way, if I'm in Eden and I'm dancing with a small child, that can be regarded as making love. Right? But if you're making love to a child in this realm, exchange of energy, it's pedophilia. Because
teach.
What? Slow motion this side.
That code of conduct does not fit in with this realm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. I guess the question somebody would ask is, why are they trying to bring the code of Eden into our domain? Is that part of the transition process, or is it something where they are trying to corrupt the code?
So, this is where it gets really interesting. We talk about this event that's going to happen, and these torus fields opening up, and different beings going into different realms. Now in Eden, we call this place, we've been talking about the black sun being Christ. This is where Christ is. This energy of Christ is at the center in Eden. Now if a being from Eden, an Aryan being from Eden, is coming out into this realm, what would you call them? The Antichrist. They're going against Christ. They're going against the Christ energy coming to where we are. They are the Antichrist. So just like there are some of us who are going to be going into Eden, there are going to be Aryans who are coming out into this world. Right? Flow of energy. And there are those that are going to be going out into the other world, into the other realm. And there are others from the other realms that will be coming into this realm. So there'll be all these different beings from different realms mixing, coming in and out, which is how we get different races and different mixes of genetics and all this, like I explained in the last video. So we believe that when this happens, when this event happens, there are going to be Aryan beings, Baphomet beings, that are not male or female, right? That are going to be both male and female. They haven't quite transitioned. They're still going to have that Eden code, even when they're in this realm. And it will take them quite a while before they begin to disintegrate into this code, into this realm. This is where the story of vampires comes in. This is what you might call a vampire. This is what you call the Antichrist. So these things are going to come in. They're going to be like gods, because they're going to have a much higher consciousness than us. They're going to be very smart. They're going to have remedies for diseases. They're going to heal the world. They're going to bring things together. And these are the beings. This is what they're trying to prepare us for. This is why you're seeing this transgender push. They're trying to get us used to seeing.
Break it down, brother. Break it down.
Beings that are not male or female. It's really confusing. Are you a man? Are you a woman? What are you? I don't understand. It's a predictive program. They're programming us to get used to that idea. You're seeing this programming of unicorns or beings with horns. So, do these beings have horns? I don't know. Perhaps.
This is what's going on, brothers and sisters. That's the part, piece you need to be looking at. That's why you don't know this. Because they have made you ignorant. They have destroyed the true knowledge. They destroyed the knowledge of the cycles, the shifts of the seasons and what happens. They've destroyed that knowledge. Now it's coming back out, since we're in the age of Aquarius. Truth blazing. Facts blazing. Facts being manufactured in the factory. Let's go.
It's a way of programming us to get used to seeing that picture. So all of this is predictive programming to help us cope when these beings from these other worlds come into our world. It won't be too much of a culture shock, because they're going to come with their own cultures, and a lot of these cultures will not be in the same code of conduct with us. And that's what it is. So a lot of them might be pedophiles, because to them, in their minds, they might still see everything as energy. A lot of them, they're really dense beings. So they might do things that we will frown upon, but they won't see it as bad, right? Perhaps some of them are already here. They will become the pedophiles, and you'll think, well, why are you a pedophile? Because that person coding is wrong for this realm. They've got the wrong code. They're doing things. A lot of pedophiles don't think they're doing something wrong. To them, they're like, I don't see what the big deal is. I'm in love with this child. I'm exchanging love with this child. What's the big deal? Now, to you and me, it sounds crazy. Like, what do you mean, what's the big deal? It's wrong. Right. Because we know the code of this realm. We know that cannot work in this realm that we're living in now. Not in that way. Because it becomes perverted. It's not right.
Teach, my brother. Teach.
What? Slow motion this side.
I'm going to remind you again, my brothers and sisters. You know, everything is made up of atoms. It has positive charge, neutral, and negative charge. When you're operating in extremes, you're either going to have the opposite polarity to balance you out, or you're going to have the neutral polarity to balance you out. If both are operating in extremes and acting wild in chaos, you're going to have the neutral polarity. The neutral is going to balance both out. That's what we're seeing now. If you have a society or a world that's overly feminized or overly masculinized, neutral's going to come in to shut that down and to balance everything again. That's what's going on. Remember, everything requires an equilibrium, a balance. You can't have extremes when you get back to the oneness. As we move closer to the source, as we move closer to the Most High Power, as we shift to new ages, raising our consciousness as a world family, you can't have extremes anymore. There has to be an intellectual balance. Sometimes extremes are necessary to bring you back into balance. Be seasoned, be spiced in that marination of fire of truth. Let that sink in. As you raise your consciousness, you get closer to the oneness of everything. As your consciousness drops, you become more divided. That's why it says, that's why the common saying is, united we stand stronger, together we rise higher. Oh no, sorry, that's my saying. United we stand stronger, together we rise higher. The common saying is, what is it? United we stand, divided we fall. We were in the fallen state in the Dark Ages. Iron Age. We just transitioned to the Bronze Age with the Age of Aquarius now. Eventually we're going to get, which is going to be many thousands of years later, we'll eventually get to the Silver, then the Gold, another 1,000 later. Approximately. Thousands of years. As we move through the cycles of time. Well, let's continue.
And that's what all of this is. All this confusion we're seeing. Baphomet, they're putting Baphomet out. I think they put one out in America. Yep. One of the towns in the town square center. They're trying to, Celine Dion recently launched a clothing brand, Nu or something.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Gender neutral.
Yeah. New. Right? It's new. Programming. And new, called new, will also be something new. This is new. It's coming in. So they are trying to prepare people's minds for what's coming, the gender neutral thing. So these beings that live in Eden will be gender neutral. And those of us going to Eden, eventually, over time, we will also begin to assimilate into that code. So when we get there, we are going to be like lower beings, right? Because our code will not be right.
Remember in the scriptures, when the Most High created Adam was alone. But where did the female come from? Based on what the scriptures say, out of Adam. So the genders got separated. Think about that. The Most High created man in the image. What is the image? The Most High power is the embodiment of all energy, right? So obviously if the Most High created us in their image and then later divided Adam to give him a female counterpart, which is the negative charge. Masculine is positive charge. Feminine is negative charge. They receive. They take. Think about that. That's the hidden secret. That's the hidden code. Original man was one. Male and female. They were genderless. That's what the Bible blatantly tells you if you read and look at it. And then later on they divided. The genders got divided. And then there was female and a male. Supposedly, based on the story, the Most High extracted a rib or a DNA information. One half of the body of, half of the polarity of Adam, separated it, and it created a female. Or vice versa, however you want to look at it. Whatever perspective you want to take it. At the end of the day, the genders got separated. Interesting, isn't it? When you really re-look at these things, you start to see things you never really noticed before. We're in a battle of perceptions and polarities in this realm. But we got to see the whole picture. And what is the whole picture? The embodiment of everything. How could you embody the oneness if you are in an extreme of one area? If you're just positive charge, how could you embody the oneness? You can't. If you're just negative charge, how can you embody the oneness? You can't. You have to go neutral as it pertains to your whole being. I'm not telling you to go surgery and do the surgery. That's nonsense. No, it doesn't work like that. It has to be a natural transition through nature. That's what I'm talking about. That natural transition through nature as you move up in realms. Not you going to surgery doing corrupt things. It doesn't work here. It's just not going to work here. You have to wait until the vibration frequencies shift until we get closer to the oneness, and that's going to make us that neutral thing again. And Martin is breaking it down. So as we go back to Genesis and the scriptures, even the scriptures tell us this. Man was created in the image of Elohim. Then later on the next chapter, Most High divided the genders. Think, study, know what's going on. You gotta come out of your programming. You've been programmed in extremes. You've been misdirected. You have been deceived. You have been distracted in ignorance. This is why you can never see the signs and symbols of what's going on in today's world, with this world reset, this reboot, the New World Order. At a cosmic level, the New World Order is a shift of higher consciousness. And every time we move through a new age of the zodiac, we're shifting to a higher consciousness. And then eventually we're going to reach the supreme state, the zenith of it, which is the golden age. And then we're going to fall back to the dark ages. And then we're going to go to the iron age again, bronze age, which we're in right now, bronze age, silver age, golden age. Then we fall back again, go in a state of amnesia, go in a state of division, forgetting everything. But yet, certain ancient civilizations like ancient Kemet, Egypt, in other words, maintained records, maintained pictures and images, because they knew we are eventually going to fall into a state of amnesia and forgetfulness. So they had the records there for us to see. And a lot of us are saying, what's going on here? What's this weird stuff going on? They kept the record. And only the chosen, the elect, are only going to be able to decode it and find out what's going on. That's why the scripture says there's nothing new under the sun. This has happened many times over. Over and over and over and over and over again. So many times. Right now we're in the upcycle of it all. Getting back to the golden age once again of oneness. And then there's going to be a time of peace, harmony, that oneness. Then we're going to fall back to division, where Satan and devil is going to come back out again to cause confusion in the world again. As we get closer to the oneness, Satan gets locked down. Devils get locked down. Demons get locked down. There's harmony that is achieved in the oneness. But then there's going to be a falling away, and you're going to be retested again. You're going to test it over and over again. Then the devil is let loose, the Satan is let loose, demons let loose when we're in the dark ages and the age of division. Then as we rise back to the oneness, you go to the heaven state where everything becomes the golden age. Everybody's connected. But as we're moving through these transitions, everything's going to be very strange to you. Everything's going to be very corrupt looking to you. And yes, some things are corrupt and strange. But don't necessarily mistake all of it for corrupt and strange. It's not necessarily the case either. That's the shifting as you get closer to the oneness. What does oneness mean? How could you be one if you're masculine alone? You can't be one. How could you be one if you're feminine alone? No, you cannot be one. The only way you could be one with everything is if you're neutral. If you can embody positive and negative charge, masculine and feminine charge. That's the only way you can become one with everything. An extreme cannot understand the other polarity completely. Just as the other polarity cannot understand the other extreme completely. The only one who could understand both equally is neutrality. You see the science, the hidden code science here. It's high science.
For that realm at that sexual intercourse. In this realm, the code of conduct is for life to be created, for energy to be exchanged. That energy we call the energy of lovemaking. There has to be a process called a sexual act. And that sexual act has got a protocol, it's got a code, there are certain things you have to do for that to happen.
Teach.
Now when you are in a different realm, like Eden, in a higher dimensional realm, sexual intercourse is not the same. It's not a physical thing anymore. It's now an exchange of energy. Again, because there is no sex, there is no male, definitive male or definitive female. Which is why I say God is not a male nor a female. You know, you hear that a lot. God is androgynous, right? God is not a man or a woman. And that's where that comes from. So in Eden, for instance, this is something else that me and Josh came and figured out. And this is also hidden in a lot of the occult knowledge, esoteric occult knowledge. The Baphomet represents that archetype of these beings in Eden. That's what it represents. It's a goat. Why is it a goat? Because everything begins with Aries. Aries is the first sign. When I showed you on my cosmic clock, right? The epoch began in the age of Aries. So they are the goat people. The goat is the one that climbs the mountain. It's the first one. That's why that Baphomet is a goat. The Baphomet is also a male and a female. It's showing you that androgynous nature of male and female energy being one. Right? You also see the sun and the moon. You see the two hands, the hand pointing up, the hand pointing down. The hand pointing up points at the moon, the hand pointing down points at the sun. All that is also symbolic of the dual nature of what the archetypes of our sun and our moon represent, which is a whole different thing. So the Baphomet itself, once you understand the hidden meaning that is coded within it, is a beautiful symbol. There are many truths in that. But of course it's been masked with satanic things and associated with Satanism to scare people. So lovemaking, for instance, in Eden, is not a sexual, there is no intercourse the way we know it. It's just an exchange of energy. And we think, our theory is, lovemaking could be...
Like I have to remind you, everything is sacred energy exchange. When you have a handshake with somebody, that's a type of sex. You're exchanging each other's energy. When you hug somebody, that's sex. You're embracing somebody, that's a form of sex. Whether it's man, man, woman, woman, whether you realize it or not, you're already participating in sex. You got to really think about it now. If everything is energy and you're embracing another energy, someone else is another vibration of energy and you're embracing them, or you're handshaking them, or you're touching them, that's a form of sex. Whether it's the same sex or not, or different sex, it's sex. It's just not the sex with your actual reproductive parts. Because you could only do that type, the ones that you use your reproductive parts, you could only do that one a certain way. In this realm. Two of the same can't exchange like that. They could only do the basic exchange of handshake or hug. The deepest form of sex is not going to work for the same here. Because we're operating in division and extremes here. You can't transition your polarity to the opposite. So it's not going to work.
Be as simple as something like dancing. You know, when you're dancing with someone, you're creating choruses and vortices and energy. You know, you're spinning people around, you're rubbing yourself.
And yes, I'm purposely repeating it because you gotta let this sink in and to know what's going on. You really gotta let it sink in. Some people came in here and listened like, what the f? And then they ran away in ignorance. They didn't take the time to listen and take notes of what's being said. You got to take the time to listen and to let it assimilate and digest and really think about this intelligently. Oh, I don't deal with no man. I'm a man. No, I don't deal with that fun boy chi-chi stuff. No, or a woman may say it. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the reality of how life works with sacred energy exchange. The fact that you have friends, male friends or female friends, and you hug and you handshake, depending on how close you are with each other, you don't even realize that's sex, fool. It's a type of sex. If you are exchanging, whether it's a handshake or a hug, that's a type of sex. It sounds weird, but that's what it is. Everything is sex based on this reality. Nothing moves. Electromagnetism cannot move without having sex. Sacred energy exchange, the acronym Sacred Energy Exchange. You got to deprogram the ignorance from your mind and reprogram your mind and really think about what's going on. Take a look around. Everything is having sex. Even your artificial technology has to have sex in order to work. Everything you plug in is sex. Symbols you look at on electronics is sex. Power plug you plug in every single day. You don't think about it. You don't think much of it. But it's sex if you think about it. Everything is mimicking sex, sacred energy exchange.
Against someone, there is friction there. There is an exchange of energy. There's passion.
Exactly. Friction, passion. Friction, passion of the polarities represents what? Current flow, voltage, bandwidth. When you study electrical engineering, electronics, when you use that terminology of voltage, current, all those things are dealing with what? In relationship terms. Passion, love, closeness, friction, it's all the same thing, just in a different world view. Everything is energy, right? Remember that saying that the New Agers and spiritual people talk. We are all one, we're one. Everything is energy, everything is illusion, it's all energy. Well, the same thing applies in our division. The same thing applies in our division. You separate different subjects and make it seem like that subject is for that subject. It doesn't mix with science. Relationship and psychology doesn't mix with this science of physics and astronomy or whatever, biology. It doesn't mix. It actually does. Everything is energy. Everything is energy exchange. Everything is holistic. Everything comes from the womb of creation. Everything is holistic. It comes from the one source. Everything is connected.
There's emotion. There are dancers that are passionate. There are dancers that are subtle, that are more, there's more fluid, there's more flow in them. So all of that is going back to this occult, the old culture of how things really work. So love making in Eden could be as simple as dancing with someone. Now, if you and me were in Eden and we decided to dance together, that could be regarded as making love. In that code, you're creating a love frequency, not in the perverted way that we know it as in this realm. Now, that is all well and good, and that's fantastic. Unfortunately, what these occult Satanists are doing, they are bringing in the Eden code and trying to bring it into this realm's code. It doesn't work.
Show love and support.
Else. It now becomes perverted because that code of conduct cannot work over here. In the same way, if I'm in Eden and I'm dancing with a small child, that can be regarded as making love. Right? But if you're making love to a child in this realm, exchange of energy, it's pedophilia. Because that code of conduct does not fit in with this realm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. I guess the question somebody would ask is, why are they trying to bring the code of Eden into our domain? Is that part of the transition process, or is it something where they are trying to corrupt the code?
So, this is where it gets really interesting. We talk about this event that's going to happen and these torus fields opening up. and different beings going to different realms. Now in Eden, we call this place, we've been talking about the black sun being Christ. This is where Christ is. This energy of Christ is at the center in Eden. Now if a being from Eden, an Aryan being from Eden, is coming out into this realm, what would you call them? The Antichrist. They're going against Christ. They're going against the Christ energy coming to where we are. They are the Antichrist. So just like there are some of us who are going to be going into Eden, there are going to be Aryans who are coming out into this world, right? Flow of energy. And there are those that are going to be going out into the other world, the other realm. And there are others from the other realms that will be coming into this realm. So there'll be all these different beings from different realms mixing, coming in and out, which is how we get different races and different mixes of genetics and all this, like I explained in the last video. So we believe that when this happens, when this event happens, there are going to be Aryan beings, Baphomet beings, that are not male or female, right? That are going to be both male and female. They haven't quite transitioned. They're still going to have that Eden code, even when they're in this realm. And it will take them quite a while before they begin to disintegrate into this code, into this realm. This is where the story of vampires comes in. This is what you might call a vampire. This is what you call the Antichrist. So these things are going to come in. They're going to be like gods, because they're going to have a much higher consciousness than us. They're going to be very smart. They're going to have remedies for diseases. They're going to heal the world. They're going to bring things together. And these are the beings. This is what they're trying to prepare us for. This is why you're seeing this transgender push. They're trying to get us used to seeing beings that are not male or female. It's really confusing. Are you a man? Are you a woman? What are you? You don't understand. It's a predictive program. They're programming us to get used to that idea. You're seeing this programming of unicorns or beings with horns. So do these beings have horns? I don't know. Perhaps it's a way of programming us to get used to seeing that picture. So all of this is predictive programming to help us cope when these beings from these other worlds come into our world. It won't be too much of a culture shock, because they're going to come with their own cultures. And a lot of these cultures will not be in the same code of conduct with us. And that's what it is. So a lot of them might be pedophiles, because to them, in their minds, they might still see everything as energy, a lot of them, if they're really dense beings. So they might do things that we will frown upon, but they won't see it as bad. Right? Perhaps some of them are already here. They will become the pedophiles, and you'll think, well, why are you a pedophile? Because that person coding is wrong for this realm. They've got the wrong code. A lot of pedophiles don't think they're doing something wrong. To them, they're like, I don't see what the big deal is. I'm in love with this child. I'm exchanging love with this child. What's the big deal? Now, to you and me, it sounds crazy. Like, what? What do you mean, what's the big deal? It's wrong.
Right.
Because we know the code of this realm. We know that that cannot work in this realm that we're living in now. Not in that way. Because it becomes perverted. It's not right.
Right.
And that's what all of this is. All this confusion we're seeing. Baphomet, they're putting Baphomet out. I think they put one out in America.
What? Slow motion this side.
They're trying to, Celine Dion recently launched a clothing brand, New or something.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Gender neutral.
Yeah. New. Right? It's new programming. And new, called new, will also be something new. This is new. It's coming in. So they are trying to prepare people's minds for what's coming, the gender neutral thing. So these beings that live in Eden will be gender neutral. And those of us going to Eden, eventually, over time, we will also begin to assimilate into that code. So when we get there, we are going to be like lower beings, right? Because our code will not be right for that realm at that time. It will take us quite a while to get
So it's
that.
two incompatible codes, right? It's like taking an operating system for Apple OS and Windows and trying to make them work together. It's not going to work together because it's two separate codes.
Yes.
And Baphomet, is androgynous, and androgyny is a very, very key component of the ancient mystery religions. I did a show actually on Baphomet going back about 2 or 3 years ago in Sophia, and also represents spiritual alchemy. All of this, and it's very, very misunderstood. It's too bad because when it's misunderstood, people go off on the wrong tangents.
Yeah.
And they draw the wrong conclusions. So maybe I'll put the link down to that show in the description box as well. But that's a very, very interesting take that you have. That it's 2 different frequencies, 2 different codes, and you can't mix them. Because if you try to mix them, there's going to be a lot of confusion. Either way. A lot of complications. Misunderstandings, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And it's interesting as well. We were just we had a shamanic session, if you like, where we really went deep into all of this spiritually, and we both got the same sort of answers. And as within, so without; as above, so below. When we get to Eden, we're obviously going to settle on the outskirts of Eden, right? We're going to be on the outskirts of Eden, on the edge, right? We will not be able to go any further because we're not ready, right? It's almost the same with where we are now. We will become the Africans of Eden, the southern hemispheres, right? So we always say people in the southern hemisphere generally are a lot more behind than the people in the northern hemisphere, right? That's just a fact. It's not racist, it's not anything, it's just a fact, right? It's the same thing in Eden and all the other realms as well. So when we get there, we are going to be the equivalent of what we think Africans are. We're going to be the ones that are going to be backward. Our code is going to be very, very backward. We're going to be doing things that are not quite in sync with the old culture, with the Eden culture. And it will take us a long time before we begin to assimilate ourselves into this new code, into this new culture, and eventually we'll begin to assimilate and migrate into other parts and the whole thing.
So we would have down level code, if you will. We use IT analogies, and then it's going to be a process of upgrading, updating the code, and that, I don't know how long that's going to take. I'm assuming it's going to take quite a while. But this is a very, very interesting way to describe it. From a code perspective, I think a lot of people will understand it that way.
Yeah, it's all about code and genetics. DNA has got a code. All DNA has got a code, and these codes are there for a reason. They're there to match certain frequencies at certain times in certain places. It's interesting. So again, right now, this transgender stuff, they're trying to change people's codes. The code has already changed. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, if you had said to someone, being gay is going to be a normal thing, like it's going to be accepted, you'll be arrested for being anti-gay, people would have laughed at you and said, what are you talking about? We don't tolerate that. That is not the right code of conduct. We don't do that. Today, it's just normal. You meet a gay person, and it's just like, oh, it's normal. It's not, you don't blink, you don't think twice about it. The code is already changed. So that code is already getting us used to the idea that the physical matter is not as important as the spiritual matter. Gay person will tell you, you people, you ostracize us and you judge us. We see love. I'm in love with this man. I'm not in love with the body. I'm in love with the man. Right? So the moment, because the code is changing, there are people who will be in the old code still saying, no, I'm not having it. I'm a traditional person. This is what traditions.
In other words, they're saying they're in love with the attributes, the character, the energy.
Says, I'm going to go to traditional code of conduct.
And that's mainly how the general person is too. You like a person based on their energy, their vibration, their character. Just like you should only be judging people based on their character, not because of their nationality or what they look like. That's the oneness awareness. The oneness awareness is judging a person by their character, their actions, not how they look. It's about judging their energy. And what is energy? How is energy manifested? Through their movements. How do they move? That's vibration, that's rhythm, that's pattern. That's character. How does a person move? That's how you judge someone, or awareness. Be aware of how someone moves. That's the new way to look at it. We're going back to the oneness. So the only way to view a person is based on their actions. What do they represent? Not what they look like, and judge a person based on what they look like. You judge a person based on what they do. Don't listen to the words. Don't worry about the physical. Look at what they do. Feel the energy.
And there are some saying, no, things have changed. We've progressed. The world has changed. You're behind. You need to catch up. You know, you're still a racist. You're still homophobic. You're still this. You're still that. The code is slowly changing. Unfortunately, I don't know.
This is what happened to the world. The knowledge of this has been destroyed of what's going on.
How this is happening, but it seems as if maybe the code
It's being reawakened right now in you.
is being rushed. It seems as if I think this should have happened a long time ago. It should have been a nice, gradual, gentle shift into all of this. How this is happening. Unfortunately, I don't know how this is happening, but it seems as if maybe the code is being rushed. It seems as if I think this should have happened a long time ago. It should have been a nice, gradual, gentle shift into all of this. And it's almost as if we're being rushed into this. We're being shot into this. And I think this is very, very wrong. But again, we're in the Iron Age, so it's kind of to be expected, you know. There's a lot of confusion, anxiety, and stress coming with it, but it shouldn't be like that. It should be a nice, gradual flow over hundreds, if not thousands of years of gently assimilating into a new, different code. So I don't know how all of this is going to play out in, you know, when it all happens, when the event happens. Perhaps we'll revert, perhaps they'll stop it. So right now there's a big clash of code, you know, and then it will reach a stage where when the New World Order comes in, they will rewrite the code. We will have a New World Order, which will be a new code of conduct for everyone. So no more confusion. This is what religion is. This is what money is. This is how energy, this is how everything works. This is how science works. Everything will have a new code. And that's what the New World Order is. It's a new coding of our reality.
Okay, so this is going to be extremely controversial for some people to get their heads wrapped around.
Exactly. It is very controversial to a lot of the religious folks, especially. They're not going to get it. But in the very own scriptures, it shows you. Eve didn't come, according to the scriptures, until the rib was taken out of Adam. What was Adam? Gender neutral, originally. Go read.
The conditioning with regard to the New World Order. Also, not understanding the concept of two different codes. We're not advocating pedophilia, folks. What we're just saying is that there is a difference in a completely different understanding of what certain things mean. So it would be like using a word in one language that means something to us. Using that word in another language means something very, very different.
Yeah.
It conflicts. Even though the word may appear to be the same, or maybe it's pronounced the same way, or it's very similar, they have two different meanings.
Yeah.
That's what Martin
What? Slow motion this side.
Just listen, pause, and just try to get your head wrapped around the possibilities here. I just want to put that out there because I think some folks might be misconstruing what it is that you're explaining to us.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you know, I'm not even talking. I've stopped talking to people who are not on the same wavelength as us. I'm not even talking. I don't even bother. You know, there'll always be those people who don't get it, and they're just looking for a fight, or I don't know, whatever. I really don't care about them. At this point, I'm just speaking to the people that are on the same journey as us, to prepare us for where we're going, to have a better understanding of how this works from where I see it, from my perspective, and give us a little bit more clarity, hopefully, of where we're going, what to expect, where we're going, what to expect, even for those who are staying behind, but sort of want more clarity on what this new world order is, why things are happening the way they're happening. It's just to give people clarity. And like you said, Mike, it's really important. I'm not advocating for or against anything at all. You know, all I'm saying is I'm explaining perhaps why certain people are doing certain things or behaving in certain ways that we don't understand. I don't understand it yet. I don't understand it. I get it, but I don't understand why it's happening in this realm. But now, because I understand the whole code thing, I'm not sympathetic to it. I'm not saying that I'm sympathetic to a lot of these things. What I'm saying is I get it. I understand why it's there and why it's happening. It's not for me. It's not something I'll advocate or encourage, but I understand it. I get it.
Yeah, same with me. I mean, I understand it at a conceptual level.
Yeah.
Conceptually, I understand it. But I do struggle with some of the stuff that's going on. It doesn't feel right to me. It's not normal to me. It falls into the realm of abnormal. Some of it bizarre. It's uncomfortable. It's repugnant and repulsive. There's stuff that's going on. So it's one of those things where, like I said, from a conceptual level,
it's the perversion. In this realm, it's a perversion. It's reprobate in this realm, what we're seeing.
I can understand it, and I can see the argument or the explanation, but then there is that physical aspect of me, and even the mental aspect of me that is in this domain, in this realm, that says, it just doesn't seem right, doesn't feel right. You know, I don't think so. So it is kind of like it's a balance thing, right? Of understanding the concepts and then weighing it against where you're at in the existence that we interact in. And I think that's why I said before, I think your explanation of two divergent or two very different codes coming together and conflicting is perhaps what is going on. I don't know. Yeah, but it's a great way to put it out there and to get people to kind of chew on it, I think.
Yeah, and it's like you're saying, it's so confusing. You're so right in that it's conflict.
Brother Corey, Jordan, Brother Ahmed, I see what's popping.
It's confusing because you don't know where to draw the line. Like, where do we draw the line? Like, you know, you'd say, okay, the whole gender thing, I get it, fine, people want to be different genders. And then you think, well, it's getting too far now. This is, you know, it's all different genders, gender neutral this and gender that and gender this. Identify as a unicorn, identify as a rhinoceros. Like, what the hell is going on? So it's kind of like, where do we draw the... line with all of this? Where do we, you know, and this is where it gets confusing.
Yep.
And they're doing this on purpose. These elitists, they're doing this on purpose. They're creating all this chaos and this confusion so that when they introduce the New World Order manifesto, you will accept it because it'll be better than where things are heading now. Right? So at the moment, they're kind of talking about normalizing pedophilia. You seen this? Like, they were talking about in Parliament here in the UK, they're suggesting that maybe we should legalize it and make it not so much of a crime. Maybe it's not as bad as we think it is, which is crazy and absurd. But I think they're doing that on purpose so that when the New World Order comes in, they'll say, no, pedophilia is out. So a lot of the people who were against the New World Order will say, well, the New World Order is not so bad after all, you know, because the old powers that be wanted to normalize it. These people are saying we should stop it. So all of that is create chaos, problem, reaction, solution.
Yep.
So it's the same thing with all this gender neutral, gender this, and confusing people with all these gender things. And governments are approving it and they're giving the thumbs up. It's confusing people. It's making people go crazy, like, I don't understand what's going on. But when the New World Order comes in and says, oh, no, we're going to pull this back a bit, you know, it's gone too far. You know, the New World Order, the new manifesto says there is male, female, transgender, gay, lesbian. All the other ones, we're going to bin them now. That's crazy. We went too far. And of course people will go, oh yeah, we can live with that.
Yeah.
So all
it
of
becomes a process of negotiation almost where, right, they reach a middle point where, okay, over the extreme, fundamentalist, whatever, and I don't mean from a religious perspective, but just in a belief system.
Yep.
So let's bring it to some center point where they can get perhaps a critical mass to say, okay. That's a very good point, Martin, because one of the things that I know from doing all this work is that this whole apparatus is extremely complex. It's very dynamic. The roots reach far and wide. It's like an octopus with its tentacles. It's all over the place. It touches everything. It controls everything. Everything that they have in place, everything they plan on doing is cause and effect. Every cause has an effect. Every effect has a cause. Everything. It's very, in a way, it's brilliant in the way the whole thing is designed, because, like you said, problem, reaction, solution. They have a response or an answer to everything.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, there's a response and there's an answer to everything. And not everybody's going to like it, and there are going to be people that will, and there are going to be people that are in between, and that's what's going on. That's the dynamic that's in play. Whether people want to accept it or not, that's your call. But based upon the work that I'm doing, that's what I see going on. It's really a very, very elaborate, I don't want to call it a game. This game is probably not the right word, but for lack of a better term.
System.
Yeah, a very elaborate system. Thank you. That's in place. Yep.
Yeah.
Millions and millions of touch points.
Yeah. And the ones, unfortunately, this is the saddest part of all of this, is I like the way you worded the term. It's going to be a negotiation, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a negotiation, and it's almost going to be like, you know, it's all going to get worse. Things are going to culminate. You know, leading up to the event, I think the world's going to get darker, more confusing. Things are just going to get more crazy, and they're doing that on purpose to back people more into a corner. And then when the event happens, that is when it's really going to hit the height of madness, craziness, chaos everywhere on Earth. And then out of that is when the Antichrist will come in with a new solution. The beings from Eden will come in and go, oh, hang on, guys. Let's negotiate. Let's try and sort this out. Let's try and calm all this down. What is the problem? People will say, oh, the problem is the monetary system. You know, it's not fair. There are rich people, poor people. They'll say, all right, we'll end that. Let's have one currency.
Yeah.
People will go, oh, actually, yeah, we'll have one currency. That way there's no profit. We won't have this. All right. What else is a problem? Wars. People are dying for nothing. You know, we're all going to war. Well, to end that, let's have one army. That way, we can't fight each other. You've got no one to fight. Right? The only people we're protecting are each other or ourselves from other beings. People will go, oh, yeah, that sounds great. What else is a problem? Oh, this whole thing of gender and race and pedophilia, it's gone out of hand. We're all for, you know, live and let live, but this has gone too far. All right, so maybe we'll cancel all these other things that are too far, but can we keep these? In between that, there'll be many people, unfortunately, most of them, the religious people, who will refuse any of those deals. They'll say, no, we don't want any of it. We want to go back to the Bible. And those are the people who will be locked up in the FEMA camps. Those are the people who will be arrested. Those are the people who will be called dissidents and crazies, and they're not willing to negotiate. We're trying to make the world a better place. What, you know, why are you trying to disturb the peace? You are disturbing the peace. Everyone else in the world is in agreement, but you're not. You need to be locked up.
Yeah, it's like reorientation camps. I hate to say that, but
Exactly that.
another area where they will probably raise a flag of people is medicine. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
It's too costly. You know, we don't have cures for this. We don't have cures for that. There's a lot of suffering, even with the best medical system in the world. And you come in and say, okay, we're going to fix that too. There's a lot of stuff like cannabis as an example. We use that because we spoke about it. That's no longer going to be taboo. That's going to be something that anybody can grow. We'll even show you what to do, how to grow it, right? How to get the oils and so on.
Yeah.
So I can see where, like you said,
But in exchange, obviously, we'll need to monitor everyone to make sure that everyone's following the rules. We want everyone to be on board. You know, we don't want anyone to disturb the peace now. We finally found peace. We finally found a way that works for the whole world. So we're going to be monitoring everyone. We're going to monitor your calls. We're going to be watching on CCTV. If you fall out of line, we'll have to go into a center to get readjusted.
Yeah.
And this is where we're moving into, my brothers and sisters, the AI infrastructure, artificial intelligence infrastructure with the 5G. When everything becomes one, that's when the all-seeing eye is upon you. You know what time it is. Powerful construction build. Very controversial to a lot of people. However, the truth is the most controversial thing on the planet. And that's why most people will get scorched. That's why most people will run. Because it demands positive, progressive, constructive change. Demands it. Lies and deceit can't stand next to the fire of truth. Because it's going to get scorched and burnt to cinders. So when you're dealing with people and persons, people in general, if they're living a lie, they're living a deception, or they're living ignorance, their way of life is going to get burnt down to the ground.
Some people aren't going to like that. That's going to sound very Orwellian.
Well, that's
We cooking, brothers and sisters. We cooking, of course. Fire is all about refining, cleansing, and purifying your being. So you can think right. So you can know right. So you can live right. And know what's going on with the shifting of the ages. The shifting of the seasons. Ecclesiastes 3. There's a time, place, and season for all things. Know what's going on. There is no new thing under the sun. Everything is just a repetitious cycle. And the cycle is constantly being repeated so you can learn your lessons. The reason why cycles keep repeating because you haven't learned your lessons. Therefore, you're a moron, meaning that you need more on the knowledge in order to know what's going on so you can make better decisions in life. That's how you do deconstruction and construction. People are morons, the masses are morons because they need to be taught more on the knowledge. When you learn your lesson, you do less on the errors and mistakes in your life. When you're learning, you are earning, you're knowing, you're growing. That's how you must flow in life.
What? Slow motion this side.
When you eat right, you will think right, you will know right. That's how you live right.
Because
in.
Go in.
You have the Israelite mind.
It's a beast in this motherfucker. You can feel the energy.
Divine.
Right? So you can see as well, in all these Scandinavian countries,
This game is probably not the right word, but for lack of a better term.
system.
Yeah, a very elaborate system. Thank you. Very, very elaborate. It's brilliant in the way the whole thing is designed, because, like you said, problem, reaction, solution. They have a response or an answer to everything.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, there's a response and there's an answer to everything. And not everybody's going to like it, and there are going to be people that will, and there are going to be people that are in between, and that's what's going on. That's the dynamic that's in play.
And the reason why it works like that is because when you look at the atom, protons, neutrons, electrons. 2 extremes, 1 neutral. That's why we're seeing a projection of that in this life. Everything is projected from the hidden science of an atom. Positive protons, electrons, neutrons. Every life is based off of that division. There's a time, place, and season for all things. There's nothing new under the sun.
Whether people want to accept it or not, that's your call. But based upon the work that I'm doing, that's what I see going on. It's really a very, very elaborate. I don't want to call it a game, because game is probably not the right word, but for lack of a better term.
System.
Yeah, a very elaborate system. Thank you. That's in place. Yep.
Yeah.
Millions and millions of touch points.
Yeah. And the ones, unfortunately, this is the saddest part of all of this, is I like the way you worded the term. It's going to be a negotiation, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a negotiation, and it's almost going to be like, it's all going to get worse. Things are going to culminate, leading up to the event. I think the world's going to get darker, more confusing. Things are just going to get more crazy, and they're doing that on purpose to back people more into a corner. And then when the event happens, that is when it's really going to hit the height of madness, craziness, chaos everywhere on earth. And then out of that is when the Antichrist will come in with a new solution. The beings from Eden will come in and go, oh, hang on, guys. Let's negotiate. Let's try and sort this out. Let's try and calm all this down. What is the problem? People say, oh, the problem is the monetary system. It's not fair. There are rich people, poor people. They'll say, all right, we'll end that. Let's have one currency.
Yeah.
People will go, oh, actually, yeah, we'll have one currency. That way there's no poverty. We won't have this. All right. What else is a problem? Wars. People are dying for nothing. We're all going to war. Well, end that. Let's have one army. That way we can't fight each other. You've got no one to fight. Right? The only people we're protecting are each other or ourselves from other beings. People will go, oh, yeah, that sounds great. What else is a problem? Oh, this whole thing of gender and race and pedophilia, it's gone out of hand. We're all for, live and let live, but this has gone too far. All right, so maybe we'll cancel all these other things that are too far, but can we keep these? In between that, there'll be many people, unfortunately, most of them, the religious people, who will refuse any of those deals. They'll say, no, we don't want any of it. We want to go back to the Bible. And those are the people who will be locked up in the FEMA camps. Those are the people who will be arrested. Those are the people who will be called dissidents and crazies, and they're not willing to negotiate. We're trying to make the world a better place. Peace. You are disturbing the peace. Everyone else in the world is in agreement, but you're not. You need to be locked up.
Yeah, it's like reorientation camps. I hate to say that.
Because
Go.
you have the Israelite mind.
Where they will probably raise a flag of people. Medicine is too expensive.
Yeah.
It's too costly. We don't have cures for this. We don't have cures for that. There's a lot of suffering, even with the best medical system in the world. And they come in and say, okay, we're going to fix that too. There's a lot of stuff like cannabis as an example. We use that because we spoke about it. That's no longer going to be taboo. It's going to be
Yep.
something that anybody can grow. We'll even show you what to do, how to grow it, right? How to get the oils and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see where, like you said,
But
Mark,
in exchange, obviously,
Yeah.
we need to monitor everyone to make sure that everyone's following the rules. We want
Yeah.
everyone to be on board. You know, we don't want anyone to disturb the peace now. We finally found peace. We finally found a way that works for the whole world. So we're going to be monitoring everyone. We're going to monitor your calls. We're going to be watching on CCTV. If you fall out of line, we'll have to go into a center to get readjusted.
yeah. Some people aren't going to like that. That's going to sound very Orwellian. And
Well, that's what it is. And you know, this is not something that me and you, this is not new. I think everyone sort of
yeah.
knows that this is where it's heading, this whole Orwellian, you know, it's heading that way.
Well, people ask me all the time about the surveillance state, and they said, "Do you worry about it?" I said, "No. I mean, why would I worry about it? It's if there's nothing I can do about it, worrying is not going to fix it. You know, they're going to do what they're going to do, and they've done what they've already done, and you know, so it just is what it is. I'm not going to stop living my life and worry about something like that. I'm just not going to do it, because the moment I do that, it's time that's taken away from me from enjoying my life.
That's it.
So I'm just going to plow forward and move forward. This stuff, much of this stuff that's going on, folks, it's larger than life. There is no stopping it.
Yeah.
You know, you can march all you want, and you can be a keyboard warrior and type out forums and leave comments on YouTube channels and blogs. You could do that until, you know, the cows come home. And guess what? It's going to change. Nothing, because right, there are certain aspects of this agenda which are going to go forward. And it's already been implemented in most cases. It's already there. So the train has left the station. I'm not trying to sound like a defeatist. I'm not. It's being a realist. And then once you understand that that's where it's at, what you have to do is you have to go inside. You have to go within you and decide where is it that you're supposed to be? Where's the best place for you to be? Consciously. Where should you be spending your time? What should you be focused on? Is it focusing on things that are just inevitable or going to happen or are already in place? Or is it taking it beyond that, transcending all that stuff? That's how you have to transcend it. You have to go outside the box. And in my view, I don't want to get on my spiritual wagon here, but that means you have to connect back to spirit. You really do. A big part of the problem that we have in the reality that we're in, Martin, in my view, you and I have spoken about this, is it has detached us from the Creator. It has detached us from spirit. And a big lesson because of that process is to teach us what it's like to live and exist in a place that is detached from spirit. Feel that duality, that darkness, that loneliness, maybe that despair. For a lot of people, it's despair, the challenges that come along with it, and to spark us back to making that connection. Because once you make that connection, what happens is things in your life will get better, things will turn around. Because you are reconnecting back to a huge piece of you, huge, the non-physical aspect of you that many people have abandoned. Because they just focus on the physical world and the issues of the physical world. But we're not just physical beings. That's the thing. So you're only, as I've said in so many other shows, when you do that, you're only playing football on half the field. You're only focused on the physical piece of it. If you move to the spiritual, the non-physical, the metaphysical aspects of it, and you really try to start to understand that stuff, like a lot of the stuff you're taking us through is in that arena. It's understanding the mysteries. It's uncovering the real truth behind existence and why we're here. Your life is going to just blossom. You're going to expand what you know, and a lot more things are going to make sense, and you will be less fearful of things. Right? That's what I found. I found that I don't really fear anything, Mark, to be honest with you. Anything.
The truth will set you free.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's fantastic. Like, to end this, for me, on a closing note, people are going to listen to this, and there will be 3 tiers of people, like I always say. There's going to be the first tier of people who are going to say, if this is true, I'd rather die for my Jesus. I'll go to these camps. I'm never letting go of Jesus. I'm never letting go of the Bible and the truths in the Bible. In fact, we're told in the Bible that we're going to be persecuted. Many Christians will tell you, I'm prepared to die and suffer and be tortured for my Jesus and for my God. I will not let it go for anything or anyone. That is what's going to happen to you. You're spelling that, and that is your fate. That is going to happen to you. You're going to be in the FEMA camps. They're being built just for you, and you are willingly accepting it. So that's what's going to happen for you. So that's the first tier. The second tier is the majority who are going to go, do you know what? If that happens, it doesn't sound that bad, actually. It sounds like quite a nice world. No wars, you know, we don't have to worry about the financial imbalance in the world. There'll be medicine for everyone, so no diseases. There'll be more equality, a fairer system. Okay, we'll lose some freedoms, but on balance, that world sounds better than the world we're in today. So that's majority of people say, yeah, bring it on, whatever. I just want to have a good life and enjoy my life. I want to raise my kids in a good world, and I want to enjoy my life and be happy. And then there are those who are going to say, I'm not willing to accept either of those. You know, I don't want to be tortured because I don't agree with a lot of the things, but at the same time, I don't want to compromise. I'm too far ahead to compromise those things because I don't want to live in a world like that because I'm not, you know, I don't sync with it. So what is the other alternative? The other alternative is to move on, right? So this is where I am. For me, staying behind in that Orwellian world, even though it sounds nice and it's utopian, for me, for where I am, I don't think I'd be happy in that world. I'm not willing to give up some of my freedoms to gain some of those good things.
Right.
Neither am I willing to die or suffer standing for what I believe in. So the alternative is I've got to move on. My code has changed. I've got to go to where my code is in sync with, or starting to get in sync with. So that is Eden. I now know where that is. And that's most of us who don't feel like we belong here anymore. We don't feel like this is home. We feel like, you know, I don't want to be here.
Right. That's the feeling that I have. It's one where I feel I'm out of place, like I'm a fish out of water. And like we mentioned in the last show, what could wind up happening is that we're going to continue to do the work that we're doing until the day that we're not here anymore. And then it will be sorted out once we go back home and we decide what our next experience is going to be, or our next incarnation is going to be.
Absolutely.
So personally for myself, I mean, I see myself just continuing to play out the role that I have been given, you know, for this life, which is the work that I'm doing right now. And once I do cross over, we'll get to the blackboard, the whiteboard, and we'll figure out what my soul's next journey is going to be. So that's why, you know, Martin, I don't really worry all that much about all of this stuff, because in my mind I have an innate understanding of how it works. You know? So, but I'm with you. I think, like before we mentioned, it's a negotiation. So the negotiation means it's a compromise, and most people will be okay with that. But there are going to be those that are going to say, you know, I'm not into negotiating and compromising because that's still something that it's good, it's better, maybe, you know, but I need to move beyond that. I'm already moved beyond that. I'm beyond the compromise and the negotiation aspect of this. So, anyway, so Martin, it's always great to have you on the show and to talk about this type of stuff, because like you said, who else are we going to talk to?
Yeah. Exactly, Martin.
And for those of us that are watching the show on YouTube, we're glad that you're with us as well. So, well, Martin, I think that pretty much wraps it up, unless you have any parting thoughts, anything?
No, that's it. I think we covered as much as we could today.
Okay, very, very good, Martin. Again,
Alright, man. Brothers and sisters, that concludes this. Ended off there. We've been on here for a while. You've heard the thorough breakdown as it pertains to what's going on in this world, how life works, what's happening in this transition shift of the age of Aquarius, why things are happening the way they happen, with the transgender, with the New World Order, the New World System, the reboot and reset. We broke it down thoroughly. I said my piece, Martin and The other guy in the line said his piece. You got a thorough breakdown of what's going on at a scientific level. Knowledge, wisdom, holistic truth, always. You know what time it is? Truth blazing. Facts blazing. Facts being manufactured in a factory. That is a fire of truth, and nothing but the whole, living, unified truth, my brothers and sisters. Until next time, awaken your mind and get your behind back to the organic, get to that mainframe of Almighty Nature, which is a collective consciousness, the unified field of the divine, the great vine, derived from the vine of which you get your true information, knowledge, wisdom, and intelligence from. Listen to reason, the real sun, rays from the sun, and listen to wisdom. Brothers and sisters, make moves, less announcements. More moves, less talking. It's all about action. In order for change to take place, in order to see the world that you want to see, you better make moves. There's too many people talking. Make moves. It's time for unity. United we stand stronger. Together we rise higher. The only way we're gonna put a stop to the system that we don't want to see is unity. United we stand stronger. Together we rise higher. So we need to like the video, share the video, so everybody can be awakened what's going on. We're gonna be continuing these construction builds, going into information. We're gonna be doing the melanin science. We got nature of nature science, breaking it down at that level as well. We're doing this holistically, brothers and sisters. Holistically. We're not doing pieces. We're doing holistic breakdown of the fire of truth. You know what time it is. Anyways, brothers and sisters, you know what time it is. Pass the truth on the left-hand side. Hey, pass the truth on the right-hand side. Whoa, pass the truth on the bottom-hand side. Hey, pass the truth on the top-hand side. Whoa. Stay sitting at your seats for more fire of truth. That'll be coming. Enjoy. Peace. I don't see no questions. So I'm putting this to a conclusion. We've been on here for a while, so Nexus DUS 66 like 7. Thank you very much. Thank you for the support. You're appreciated. And everybody else that liked and shared the video, thank you. You're appreciated. This knowledge needs to get out. People need to expand their consciousness and stop being stuck in a box of ignorance. Come out of your darkness of ignorance. It's time to shine the light of Lumen consciousness. It's time to expand, diversify, become more versatile, become more agile, becoming more dynamic in the way you think. That's what Supreme Intelligence demands. That's what the fire of truth demands. Adaptability, lifelong learning. Anyways, brothers and sisters, peace. For your bless! Meditate, elevate, levitate, rise to the occasion, be patient, success does not come quickly, move swiftly, efficiently, make it count, big boy moves, big girl moves, big man moves, big woman moves, enjoy the process, that's a test of the quest to the west, show zest, invest in your nest, and be the best you can be, dressed to impress. Express your gratitude, appreciation to the ones before you. Let go of the stress. I suggest you progress your mind's willpower to devour the obstacles and challenges to become a champion. It's a great badge of honor to show yourself worthy in life's conquest. A never-ending cycle, school of learning.
Yeah. Check it, listen,
Coming through.
fire bun. I'm an intellectual to the precise decimal of mathematical root radicals. So we see this, I mean this, the fire of truth. From the sheer might, the fire of truth. Preach, teach, The fire of truth.
We just levitate, levitate. Keep your head straight. Just levitate, levitate. Even if the world is so cold, we just levitate, levitate. Set these lies.
Balance is key, foundation you see, harmony we see, nature we free, spirit we agree, preach and teach, the flock we reach, peace we feast, Ecclesiastics 3, Barak Shalom hour, inner peace power, reason in season, there's meaning in beacon and wisdom we season. Peace to the Most High, the Most High, 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 peace to the Most High, the Most High.